Before you start, are there any agreements?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
Is this a custody dispute?
Yes, it is. Well, no, not really. I mean, it's possession and conservatorship, but not.
Who has primary?
It's my understanding she has not asked for custody.
Okay. You may proceed, Ms. Sorrells.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Purdy, will you state your name for the record?
Trey Tyler Party.
And what is the name of the child we're here for today?
Waylon Carroll Purdy.
And when was Waylon born?
10/10/2018.
And you and Waylon currently resides with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's in Liberty?
Yes, ma'am.
And the mother is Kelsey Ray Hall, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At the time of Waylon's birth, or about the time of Waylon's birth, you signed an acknowledgement of paternity, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Miss Kelsey signed that also with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, we would offer as State's Exhibit 1 the acknowledgement of paternity.
And does anyone have any objection to me admitting that as State's Exhibit 1?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Purdy, how long has Waylon lived with you?
Yes, ma'am, for about 2.5 years now.
Thank you. Who makes the day-to-day decisions for Waylon?
Me.
And who makes the important decisions about residency and school for Waylon?
Me.
All right. When was the last time that Miss Hall saw Waylon?
I believe in the beginning of August.
And that was
for yes, ma'am.
And that was for a visitation visit?
Yes, ma'am. I had dropped him off with her mother, his grandma.
Okay. And that visit lasted for a weekend or a week?
I believe it was right at a week.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Purdy, today, do you have any safety concerns with Waylon visiting Miss Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what are those?
There's been times in the past that she was not very responsible with his well-being or the environment that she has had him in. And also the fact that, if an emergency were to happen, there's no vehicle to get him anywhere or anything of that sort.
Okay. In fact, Mr. Purdy, Waylon was placed in your care at the direction of Child Protective Services, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And that was back when in 2022, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you here today seeking to have the court name you as sole managing conservator of Waylon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you believe that you being named sole managing conservator is in the best interest of Waylon?
100%.
All right. Do you have, are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have insurance available for Waylon, but it's not through your employer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he will be covered on an insurance policy at your expense, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any, do you know how much the medical insurance costs per month? Do you have that in?
The previous quote that I had got actually about 2 days ago was $465 a month. And the insurance, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say the insurance through my employer comes out to about $1,200 a month.
Okay. And that 465 is for both you and the Waylon?
Yes, ma'am. The 465 would be for me and Waylon for medical, dental, and vision.
Your Honor, I would pass the witness at this time.
Okay. Ms. Dennis, do you have any questions for Mr. Purdy?
Yes, just a few, Your Honor. Mr. Purdy, where do you currently reside?
Liberty, Texas.
And describe your residence. How many bedrooms, how many baths?
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Okay, and so Waylon has his own room while he's with you?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And who resides with you other than Waylon?
My fiance, Mackenzie.
And do y'all have a wedding date?
Yes, ma'am, November 16th next month.
Okay, so y'all will be married at that point.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so with your job, sometimes you have to work overtime. Who is keeping Waylon during those times?
I'd say 90% of the time would be my stepmother. And
Okay.
there's other times, you know, every now and then my best friend and his wife will watch Waylon as they have children his age and they go to school together.
Okay, so you have plans for if you have overtime at work.
Oh,
which you're having to do
absolutely.
right now. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And Waylon currently goes to school.
Yes, ma'am.
What grade is he in?
Kindergarten.
What school district?
He goes to school in Dayton.
Okay. And how's he doing in school?
He's doing all right. His as far as like his math and all that stuff goes, he's doing really well. We have behavioral issues with him in school, but we are trying to get that sorted out through the school system right now.
Okay, so does he go to a counselor there, or you're working with them? He's
Yes,
getting the
ma'am.
care that he needs, correct?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We have met with people in the school system to try to get him some extra help in school. But yes, ma'am, everything's starting to piece together.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Hall, do you have any questions for Mr. Purdy?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Sorrells, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I call Ms. Hall. Ms. Hall, will you state your name, please, your full name?
Kelsey Ray Hall.
And you're the mother of Waylon Carroll Purdy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Waylon resides with his father, Mr. Purdy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have had some visits with Waylon, correct?
As much as Trey will allow me. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I believe that last visit was in the beginning of the end of August was Mr. Purdy's, and Waylon stayed with you, correct?
Yes. But he did not bring him to us. We went to Liberty to pick him up because we do have a vehicle here.
Okay.
We do. My mom and dad we went all the way to Liberty Walmart and picked him up. And it was Father's Day weekend whenever we had him the whole week.
Okay. So
Whatever that was.
okay. You currently reside in a home with your parents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you currently employed?
No, ma'am.
Are there any reasons you cannot work?
No, ma'am. I'm not employed right now. I'm trying to find a job.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Dennis, do you have any questions for Ms. Hall?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Ms. Hall, that visit that you had with Waylon, it was only agreed to by Mr. Purdy because it was at your mother's house, correct?
No, I just thought he just told me that I could see my kid.
Okay. CPS removed your child because you have a criminal history, but you have issues with drugs. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, but I'm 6 months clean and sober.
Okay. Have you been doing any?
That's half a year.
Sorry,
Have
I
you been
couldn't
doing?
hear that.
And
When you all talk over each other, I can't hear anything. So I'm not sure what Ms. Hall just
yes,
said.
ma'am, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
What could you repeat?
Do I need to repeat myself? I said yes, ma'am. I do have a criminal history, and I have had problems with drug in the past, but I'm half a year sober. I've been clean for 6 months.
Have you taken any drug tests during that 6 months?
Yes, my parents drug test me on a regular.
And actually, you've had several charges for possession. Isn't that correct? In several different Montgomery County, Splendora, burglary.
Yes, ma'am. That burglary got dropped. So no, I don't have that on my criminal record. Someone made that story up, and that's why the charges got dropped. I did have problems with drugs in the past. Like I said, everyone falls on hard times, but I'm 6 months clean and sober, trying to get my life right. And if we live in the past where I made mistakes, then we can't move forward. I'm 6 months clean. I have no problems taking drug tests. My parents drug test me regularly so I could stay here. I've never made a bad decision on Waylon's part. Anytime that I was doing drugs, he was never around. He stayed with my parents. I tried to be as responsible as I could at the time.
Do you have any mental health issues, Miss Hall?
No, ma'am.
How many children do you currently have?
I have 4 children, but my daughter passed away. So
Okay.
3 living.
How many do you have custody of?
I have custody of all my kids, I thought, until today. I didn't know that I didn't have custody of Waylon.
You actually don't have custody of your oldest son, is that correct? Dad has that child.
I mean, I have yes, his dad, but I have custody of my youngest.
You actually signed away custody of that child to your mother, is that correct? You signed
No,
your parental rights away?
no. I never signed my parental rights away. I gave my mother power of attorney. Never once have I signed any of my rights away to any of my children. I would never do that, no matter any circumstance, because I love my children. My mother had power of attorney of my kids.
Hold
not
on, Mr.
parental
Purdy,
rights.
there seems to be a lot of noise coming from wherever you are, and it's very distracting. Can you go somewhere where there's less background noise?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, the trash truck is coming down my road right now, so.
Okay. Well, if we need to wait and hold this hearing later, we can, but it's very distracting having dogs and I'm not sure what the other noise is.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Like I said, the trash truck come down the road and it's got the dogs stirred up. Let me see if I think the truck is passed. I can step outside now.
You may proceed, Ms. Dennis. Sorry about that.
No problem. Ms. Hall, do you currently have a driver's license?
Yes.
And how far away do you live from school, from where Waylon's going to school, would you say? How far is it?
What? From where Waylon's going to school? No, sorry, Mom, stop talking to me. I live in Splendora,
Okay.
and he goes to school in Dayton, so I don't know how many miles that would be. I can't give you an exact mileage from Splendora to Dayton.
Okay. Would you be willing to take a drug test to show that you're not on drugs
Absolutely.
before any visitation would to occur?
Absolutely. But I'm not sure why it's a problem now, but I could have him a week without a drug test. Not even that long ago.
But it was supervised by your mom, correct? It was supposed to be
Yeah, I mean, but
supervised
it would
with
be-
your mom there.
It would still be supervised. I live with my mom, so it'd be supervised every time. I have no problem taking a drug test. I'm just not sure why all of this is necessary when I had him for a week last month. Why was that okay? Because it was okay for Trey to have me for a week. Now it's a problem. It's not making any sense to me. I just don't think it seems too fair for me or my child, because I do love him.
Ms. Hall, have you been to rehab?
No.
Do you go to Narcotics Anonymous or anything like that?
No.
Do you have any support system to help you with the drug issues that you had? Did you do anything to help with those?
I think I'm doing good. I'm 6 months sober, so I could say I'm doing a lot better than most people. I think my support system's doing great at this point. 6 months is a long time for a drug addict, correct?
Have you ever, excuse me, sorry. Have you ever supported Waylon in the past 2 years?
Yes, he lived with me the first years of his life when me and Trey split up, he was still living with me up until CPS took him from me. Took him. He got removed from my care.
When's the last time you had a job?
Last year, I was working at 7-Eleven.
Okay, and how long did you work there?
Like 6 months.
Did you quit or were you fired?
I don't understand what this is relevant to, but I was let go because I didn't call in one day because I had a flat tire.
Okay. Have you ever been to prison or jail?
Never been to prison. I have been to jail.
How long were you in jail?
I've never went for more than 2 months.
When was the last
Not
time
a
you
long period of time. I've never been to prison. Last time I was in jail was April of this year.
Yeah, I passed the witness, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Ross, do you have any further questions for Ms. Hall?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. Do you have any other witnesses?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Dennis, do you have any witnesses you'd like to call?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Hall, the state does not represent you, and you're here representing yourself today. So if there's
Yes,
anything
ma'am.
additional you'd like to say, you may say it. Ms. Dennis, feel free to interrupt with legal objections. I know this is a little unorthodox. Ms. Hall, you may proceed.
I know that I've made bad decisions in the past, but I am a good mom and I do love my kids more than anything. And I know it seems like people make bad decisions, but I'm 6 months sober and I'm trying my best. And that's all I can do. My son loves me and he misses me and I know he does. And I'm sorry that I've made bad decisions in the past, but 6 months is a good thing. And I'm trying, and people around me can see that I'm trying. I have no problems taking drug tests, but I don't want to lose custody of my son. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything further?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Would you all like to make closings? Ms. Dennis, I guess we'll start with you.
Your Honor, Mr. Purdy is just asking that he, due to the circumstances and the past decisions that Ms. Hall has made, that the child be protected and that we have some supervised visits. She has a long history, an extensive history of drug use and other criminal behavior. We're requesting that she just do drug testing. If she's clean, then obviously we'll let her see the child. We just want to protect him and not keep her from him, but protect him, keep him where he is, and make good decisions for him. That's what Mr. Purdy's asking today.
And can you clarify that? Because there's a lot of different ways that could be ruled upon.
Well, yes, ma'am, I apologize. So what we're asking for is that she complete a drug test, at least, you know,
Actually, it looks like somebody filed a proposed order in this case. Obviously, it's a default, so not, was that drafted by you, Ms. Dennis?
yes, but we didn't have the drug testing in there, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I made a
No worries.
mistake. Yes. But it
yeah,
does have the supervised visits with an agency of Mrs. Hall's choice if she chooses Visiting Angels or somewhere else. We would like to have random drug testing at least once a quarter to make sure that she is continuing to stay sober and drug free. We would like the supervised visits. Mr. Waylon is going to provide the health and dental to make sure that gets taken care of. Right now, we're not asking for child support. He would like to be reimbursed for the cost of the insurance that he's having to pay just for Waylon, obviously not for him and Waylon. And that she has supervised visits, once, at least twice a month, but supervised by a supervisor for a couple of hours. And that's what Mr. Waylon's asking for.
It's not fair, dude, because I just had him for a week last month. How is this fair?
But he was supposed to be with your mother the whole time, or your
No,
sister?
Trey agreed to let me have him. And I'm sorry that I'm making this a big deal, but Trey was dropping him off with me. We met at Walmart and he knew that. And then he let me have him before that. Also, right after I got out of jail, since we're bringing it up, right after I got out of jail, I got Waylon. And Trey brought him to me, not my mom. He let Waylon come spend the weekend with me. So how is this fair that I have to have supervised visits now when I've had him since I got out? Unsupervised, and Trey allowed it.
Ms. Sorrells, would you
Yes,
like to make a closing?
Your Honor, we just ask that you establish conservatorship and possession based upon the testimony as you see fit with child support. And the parties have both agreed that child support, the testimony was that they would set it at 0 with medical support being paid for by Mr. Purdy through a private source.
Asking for reimbursement for that or no?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, asking for reimbursement through that with the for the portion covering Wayland for that amount, Your Honor, which I believe would have been $283 a month.
Ms. Hall, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna take a moment to review everything. I'll be back. No worries. Okay, I'm going to make my ruling. I'm ordering that Mr. Purdy is the managing conservator, Ms. Hall is the possessory conservator, and that Mr. Purdy will have the right to determine the primary residence of Waylon within Liberty or any county that touches Liberty County. I'm going to order supervised visits. I'm going to like that language you had in the beginning of yours that said nothing in this order shall supersede any terms of any protective order, condition of bond, probation, or parole. So I'm including that. That was in Ms. Dennis's proposed order. I'm ordering that Ms. Hall make herself available and participate in drug testing at least quarterly, so at least once every 3 months. Upon passing a drug test, well, not showing as having drugs, I don't want to confuse that, but once she takes a drug test that shows she is not using any drugs, she can have visits. She's entitled to visits. And I did the 2nd and 4th. Ms. Hall, when do you visit with your other children?
I have one of my sons full time, and
Okay.
the other one, it's whenever I want.
Okay. So we'll keep this on the 2nd and 4th weekends. Friday from 6 p.m. to Sunday at 6 p.m. to be supervised by her mother at her mother's home. This is where it gets a little complex. If her mother is not available to supervise, this will revert to the 2nd and 4th weekends from 1 to 5 to be supervised by Mr. Purdy or a competent adult designated by him at his residence or other mutually agreed upon location. If she fails a drug test or fails to take one quarterly, she will revert to one of those programs, Ms. Dennis, and you could put both options you had stated in the order at her expense, and that would continue until she takes the drug test and shows she's clean.
Ma'am, what does that mean?
If
You just said
if you end up
programs.
using drugs and you show that you're on drugs, your visitation would no longer be supervised by your parents at your parents' house. At that point, it would be through a program where they could more closely monitor you, because your parents aren't prepared to deal with that. And then quite frankly, I'm not sure you'll even be accepted into the program if you come there high or anything. Hopefully this doesn't happen. It sounds like you've been 6 months sober. Hopefully you'll continue with that. But if you fall off the wagon again, this is just to protect Waylon.
I understand that completely. Yes, ma'am.
And so.
And will these drug tests, sorry for interrupting, Ken, will they be like through the courts, or how will they be done?
The courts
How I need to
do
do
have a
them, so I know.
program. Since this is civil court, Ms. Tennis, do you have a proposed place she does the tests or the type of test you're requesting?
Or like, do we just buy one and Trey look at? I'm not sure how they want to do it.
Ms. Tennis, you're on mute.
I apologize. I forgot I
Okay.
had muted. We usually propose national screening. They should have one in Splendor, but if not one as close, to her residence as possible. We can get that address.
What's it called?
National screening.
National screening?
Screening, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And it'll be in
All
the
right.
order and the address. I'll get the one closest to you in Splendor, as closest to you as I can.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
No
And will
problem.
these orders be sent to me via email or
Somebody's gonna draft this order, and they will circulate it for signature. They'll either send it to you through email or be mailing it to you, I'm guessing.
okay.
How do y'all plan on circulating it?
If she'll give us her email address, I'll make sure she gets it through email, and she can even electronically sign it if she wants. We have that ability.
I have given my email address to the OAG. I'm pretty sure y'all have it because y'all are the ones that gave it to them. It's the Kelsey Ray at Outlook.
Right now we're on YouTube, ma'am, so let's wait until we're done with the ruling and then we can go on
okay.
YouTube
Sorry.
and you can
Okay,
share that
I'm sorry.
information. I just don't want the world, I don't know if the world
I'm
watching,
sorry.
but I don't want the world or random people emailing you. So just, yeah.
I
'cause
understand. I'm sorry. I
with
didn't
me.
know we were on YouTube.
It's okay. So where were we? So if her mother was not available, it was 1 to 5, supervised by Mr. Purdy or someone he designates, either at his home or some mutually agreed location. She has to submit those quarterly results. If she fails the test or doesn't take one, it reverts to one of those programs until she completes a drug test and comes out clean. I'm also ordering an injunction against Ms. Hall for using any illicit drugs or alcohol within 24 hours or during visits with Waylon.
I don't drink, so we're good on that, and I don't use drugs anymore. So
Now,
we'll be
hopefully
good.
these are just here in case. I'm going to order that child support is set at 0. The deviation is because she is recovering from the drug addiction and paying for drug testing. The cash medical support, I'm going to order that Mr. Purdy provide insurance and dental support through another source, and order that that Ms. Hall pay to him cash medical support. I believe it was $233 because I think it was $465 a month, and so half of that is $233. So I'm ordering that he pay $233. To pay him $233 beginning November 1st of 2024. I'm not ordering any back support, and I didn't hear any request for a non-disclosure, so I'm denying the AG's request for that. And I'm ordering court costs, that Ms. Hall pay any court costs as billed by Liberty County by October 1st of 2025. I think that covers everything. And so, yes, does anyone have any questions about the ruling before?
I got October of 25. I didn't get the day that she has to pay the court cost.
October 1st.
First, okay.
It's simple.
Will that be included in the amount of the court costs, or will y'all bill me, or how will that work?
It's through Liberty County. I don't know if they're sending bills or not, or if you have to just reach out to the county. But that's not through the Attorney General's office.
Okay, so it would be like, who would I call, like the DA or
the district clerk's office?
Oh, district clerk. Okay.
Yeah, when you look at her income, again, just blatant dishonesty with the court. She'll tell you what you want to hear the day you want to hear it to get her way.